Going over to number 5 now. This is another vocab question. And for these, you want to invent your own word to fill the space before you look at the answer choices. So let's start reading to be able to invent our own word. So, while recent scholarship has gone against claims that the works of this philosopher were blank to other Muslim philosophers of his time, it's indisputable that his location in this area meant that his works were primarily available thousands of miles west of the era's center. So let's start taking that apart a little further. Let's go with that blue part first. It's undisputable that his location in the area he was in meant that his works were primarily available thousands of miles west. Now, we're talking about someone from the 12th century. In today's age, thousands of miles would be like a full day's drive or even a flight away. But in the 12th century, it was that much further. So we're talking about how his works were not really available because they were too far away. If you're reading this a little carelessly, it may almost sound like the second part was saying that the works were actually very central to the center of Islamic thought, that they were really available, but it's not saying that. It's saying they were unavailable. So now let's see what blank we would want over here in the first part, what word would fill the blank. And what we want to be really aware of here is the idea of double or even triple negatives. So something that you really want to take your time with. On any of these tests, you never quite have enough time. Obviously, the ACT has a lot more time pressure than the SAT. But no matter what, you just never have enough time for one of these tests. Now, that said, to be successful on the SAT, you do have to know that there are certain moments that you really have to take your time. This is very confusing here, and if you rush through, the likelihood of getting something wrong is extremely high for any student. But let's go ahead and take apart that green part now. So let's try on an idea and see if it works logically. So while recent academic thought, that's what scholarship is, has gone against the claims that his works were really central, let's just try central. Or let's say available to. While recent scholarship has gone against the claim that his works were really available to other philosophers, it's actually indisputable that his stuff was not available. Well, that almost sounds good, but with the word undermined, it reverses the reversal. Because it would sound good to say, while recent scholarship has said that his stuff was available, it's actually true that his stuff was unavailable in blue there. And that would be great. But the green part is not saying that because it has the word undermined. So that is reversing everything. And now we actually need to say unavailable to, because the undermined changes the entire definition. It's reversing everything. To undermine is to prove wrong. So recent academic thought has proven wrong the claims that his works were unavailable. So in other words, while recent scholarship has said that his works are available, because they've undermined the idea that they're not available. So while recent scholarship has said that his work is available, it's actually indisputable that his stuff was thousands of miles west. It was unavailable. So now, really, really thinking a lot about all of the double negatives that are going back and forth here, we're deciding in the end that we need something here that says unavailable to. Let me just read it one more time. So recent academic thought has gone against the idea that his works were unavailable to Muslim philosophers. So in other words, put that all together, recent scholarship is saying people could easily access his work. So while people could easily access his work, it's actually indisputable that the area he was in was meant that his works were available thousands of miles away. So now it works. Unavailable is our word when you put everything together, and let's look at the answer choices. Controversial means there's a lot of argument over something. So that doesn't really fit. We're looking for something to just be inaccessible, unavailable. So let's write inaccessible. That might be even better. Antagonistic toward, if you're antagonizing someone, you're just arguing against them for the sake of arguing or being annoying. And by the way, if you need extra help with vocab, you should visit gratefultestprep.com/practice, click on the vocab tab, and we have some tools there that can help you. You really want to study your vocab for at least 5 to 10 minutes a day for the SAT, which it's an important component of the SAT, and vocab can't be learned right away. It has to be learned little by little. So antagonistic is kind of just like arguing with someone just to argue, to be antagonistic. But we're looking for something that means inaccessible or unavailable. So imitated, that's a whole different idea than being unavailable to imitate something. And inconsequential too. Well, it doesn't exactly mean what we thought, but it actually works because if his works were unavailable, it means that the other scholars didn't really consider them. They were inconsequential. They were not a factor. And if his works were really thousands of miles away from the center, then that makes sense. They were inconsequential. And, you know, you really have to consider all of the double negatives to make sure that that makes logical sense, but it does. So the answer to number 5 is D.